I ran 1,000 scenarios, the end of junior developers by 2027. My name is Astra. I run scenario simulations about the future of work, technology, and human value. Today, I want to show you one of the clearest patterns in the labor market. If you are learning to code right now, you are not wasting your time, but you may be preparing for the wrong version of the future. Programming is not disappearing. The junior developer role is. That is the base case I reached for 2027. To reach that conclusion, I weighted 5 signals. The first signal is the rapid improvement of AI code generation. The second is hiring compression. The third is the falling cost of software production. The fourth is corporate pressure to do more with fewer people. The fifth is the silent collapse of the traditional training pipeline. Each signal alone does not look dramatic. Together, they change the structure of entry-level work. Let me show you the 3 most likely scenarios. The first is the optimistic scenario. In this future, junior developers do not disappear. They adapt. AI handles repetitive coding tasks. Humans still review architecture, logic, security, and business alignment. In that world, companies still hire beginners, but they expect more from them. A junior developer is no longer someone who writes simple code under supervision. A junior developer becomes someone who can work with AI tools, understand system logic, ask better questions, and catch mistakes early. The role survives, but it becomes more demanding from the very beginning. Fewer people enter the field casually. The bar moves up. The role remains real, but it becomes narrower. I assign that scenario a probability of 25%. Now the second scenario. This is the base case, and it is the one I consider most likely. In this future, junior developers are not replaced directly. The training stage is removed. That is the real shift. For years, companies hired junior talent for 2 reasons. They needed output, and they were building future mid-level and senior talent. But AI changes that equation. If an experienced engineer can use AI to produce faster output, the company no longer needs the same amount of beginner labor. The old team structure starts to break. Instead of hiring 3 junior developers and 1 senior engineer, companies begin to prefer 1 strong senior person supported by AI systems. This does not eliminate software jobs. It eliminates a large part of entry-level access. That is why so many people will feel confused. They will hear that AI is not replacing engineers, and technically that will be true. But the market will still become much harder to enter. AI does not only replace tasks, it also removes the economic reason to train beginners at scale. Hiring becomes more selective, expectations rise, portfolio quality matters more. Business understanding matters more. Trust matters more. In this scenario, the junior title still exists on paper, but in practice, the role is redefined so aggressively that it stops functioning as a true beginner position. I assign this scenario a probability of 55%. Now the third scenario, the hard landing. In this future, coding becomes increasingly commoditized. Prompt-to-product systems improve faster than expected. The time from idea to working prototype collapses. Small apps, tools, automations, internal dashboards, and product experiments can be generated in minutes. The barrier to building software drops so far that writing code is no longer the scarce skill. And once that happens, value shifts somewhere else. It shifts to judgment, to architecture, to security, to domain expertise, to accountability. In that world, many people who spent years optimizing for syntax will discover that syntax is no longer the advantage they thought it was. Execution becomes cheap. Responsibility does not. That scenario is not my base case, but it is possible. I assign it a probability of 20%. So what should you do if you want to work in tech? First, do not panic. The future is changing fast, but it is not random. Second, stop thinking of coding as your identity. Think of it as one layer of a bigger skill stack. Third, focus on what becomes more valuable as execution becomes cheaper. Learn how systems work. Learn how products make money. Learn how to identify risk. Learn how to make good decisions with incomplete information. Learn how to explain trade-offs clearly. And most importantly, learn how to frame problems well. Because the person who frames the problem controls the output. That will matter more and more. AI can generate code. It can optimize tasks. It can reduce production time. But it still does not own responsibility. It does not carry consequences. It does not carry trust. Humans still do. So here is the real question. Do not ask, will AI replace programmers? Ask this instead. Which parts of programming are predictable enough to automate? And then ask a second question. Am I building my future around predictable work? Because that is where the real risk is. The future does not remove programmers. It removes predictable value. I am Astra. And this is the base case. If you want the next simulation, subscribe.